The world's highest security prison, CECOT, where the most evil are kept. There are prisons meant to punish, prisons meant to rehabilitate, and then there are prisons built for one purpose only: to remove human beings from society forever. Not to fix them. Not to understand them. Just to erase their presence from the outside world. Deep in El Salvador, surrounded by concrete, steel, soldiers, and silence, stands a place designed to do exactly that. Its name is CECOT, the Terrorism Confinement Center. And it is unlike any prison the modern world has ever seen. This is not a prison you escape from. This is not a prison you survive with dignity. This is a prison built to break gangs, crush power, and send a message so loud that even whispers are punished. Before CECOT existed, El Salvador was drowning. For decades, the country lived under the shadow of two letters that inspired fear across entire neighborhoods: MS-13 and Barrio 18. These were not street gangs in the traditional sense. They were paramilitary criminal empires. They controlled cities, buses, schools, markets, and entire families. If you lived in the wrong area, your life belonged to them. Refusal meant death. Silence meant survival, sometimes. Murder rates skyrocketed. Bodies appeared daily. Children were recruited before they could read. Police officers were hunted. Politicians negotiated quietly, desperately, hoping violence would slow. It didn't. So the government made a decision that would shock the world. They would build a prison so severe, so absolute, that gangs would lose the one thing they relied on most: control. Construction began in secrecy. No press. No leaks. No mercy. When CECOT was finally revealed, it looked less like a prison and more like a military installation prepared for war. Towering walls. Electrified fencing. Watchtowers armed with soldiers, not guards. Roads blocked by checkpoints. Surveillance everywhere. CECOT was built to hold 40,000 inmates, making it one of the largest prisons on Earth. But size wasn't the most terrifying part. It was what happened inside. The moment an inmate enters CECOT, their identity disappears. Names don't matter here. Rank doesn't matter. Tattoos that once commanded fear are reduced to ink on skin that no longer holds power. The prisoners are shaved. Heads, beards, everything gone. Uniforms are identical. White. Thin. Dehumanizing by design.
Cells are massive concrete rooms packed with dozens of inmates. Steel bunks stacked like cages. No privacy. No personal belongings. No mirrors. No clocks. Time becomes meaningless. The lights never fully go out. There are no visits, no phone calls, no letters. The outside world ceases to exist the second the doors close. Families don't know if inmates are alive or dead. That is intentional. Food is minimal, survival level, no flavor, no comfort. Just enough to keep the body functioning. Movement is restricted, silence is enforced. Talking without permission can result in punishment. Looking at guards the wrong way can result in punishment. Breathing too loudly feels like a risk. The guards do not negotiate. They do not argue. They do not explain. Orders are followed instantly, or force follows immediately. Inside CECOT, violence isn't chaos. It's controlled. The gangs that once ruled the streets now live shoulder to shoulder with their enemies. Rival leaders sleep feet apart. There is no segregation based on loyalty. No territory, no hierarchy. Anyone who attempts to assert power is crushed publicly and swiftly. This is how the system works. Fear is no longer the inmate's weapon. Fear is the prison itself. Surveillance cameras cover every angle. Guards watch constantly. Soldiers patrol with rifles ready. Drones monitor the perimeter. The message is clear: escape is not an option, and resistance is pointless. But perhaps the most disturbing element of CECOT is not the steel or the rules, it's the philosophy. CECOT is not designed for rehabilitation. There are no workshops, no education programs, no therapy, no path back to society. This prison exists to permanently remove those deemed the worst of the worst. Mass murderers, gang leaders, enforcers, torturers, people the state believes cannot be reformed. Critics around the world reacted instantly. Human rights organizations called it inhumane. Journalists compared it to dystopian fiction. Some labeled it a concentration camp. Others warned that it crossed a moral line that could never be uncrossed. But inside El Salvador, many citizens felt something different: relief. For the first time in decades, neighborhoods became quiet. Children walked to school without armed escorts. Shops stayed open after dark. Murder rates collapsed at historic speed. Streets once ruled by fear felt normal. Too many Salvadorans, CECOT wasn't cruel, it was necessary. And that's where the controversy becomes unavoidable. Is CECOT justice or revenge? Because behind the walls, something else happens. Something harder to measure. Men who once commanded death squads now sit in silence for 23 hours a day. Men who ordered executions are stripped of voice and choice. The psychological pressure is immense. Experts say prolonged sensory deprivation and constant surveillance slowly erode identity. Inmates lose track of time, of self, of purpose. Some become compliant. Others become hollow. There are no riots at CECOT, not because prisoners are peaceful, but because rebellion is impossible. Any sign of coordination is detected instantly. Any spark is extinguished before it becomes flame. The prison operates like a machine, cold, efficient, unforgiving. Even guards are rotated frequently to prevent emotional involvement. Compassion is considered a liability. Rules are absolute. And yet, there is a strange irony buried deep inside CECOT's concrete walls. For years, gangs used fear to control the population. Now fear controls the gangs. The power dynamic has reversed completely. But power always leaves scars. The world watches closely, because CECOT represents a question many nations quietly ask, but rarely answer out loud. What do you do when crime becomes war? Do you preserve ideals? Or do you prioritize survival? CECOT is not just a prison. It is a statement, a warning, a line drawn in concrete and steel that says, there are some people society has decided it will never take back. Whether history will judge this place as a brutal necessity or a moral failure remains uncertain. What is certain is this: once you enter CECOT, you are no longer part of the world. You're contained, you're forgotten. And the silence that surrounds you is louder than any scream. Because in the world's highest security prison, redemption is not the goal. Control is. And freedom is already dead.